This week, David and I had a chance to see The Navigator, the Australian-New Zealand co-production that's been selected for competition at Cannes, and it was certainly a very impressive first viewing, wasn't it, David?
It certainly was. It's really an audacious film, a very exciting piece of work, very much.
And we'll be talking about The Navigator in more detail when the film's released in Australia. But before producer John Maynard and co-writer-director Vincent Ward dashed off to join in all the parties at Cannes, they very nicely took time out to talk to the movie show about their film. And I asked Vincent about his reaction to the news from Cannes.
Well, it was the last thing I didn't expect it would happen at all. So we were both really surprised. I'd expected to go away and read a couple of books, go on a holiday.
So now you've got all this thrust upon you.
Yeah, it's great.
What does it mean for a film, actually?
Well, it means it gets a very wide exposure. At the first public screening, there's likely to be 900 film critics.
That's a bit scary, isn't it?
Murderous, yeah. And they're normally tired. They've been working late. They've watched probably 40 films before they come to yours. Been partying the night before. So it means that the film has got a much better chance of being seen worldwide theatrically, and of course later on TV and video. So it's just very, very good exposure for the film.
What does it mean for you personally?
It means I'll probably work again.
Vincent, not many people have had a chance to see The Navigator as yet. Can you tell us a bit about it?
The film starts off in medieval Cumbria in 1348, which is around the time the Black Death was moving in that area. And it's set in a small copper mining community. It tells the story of 5 miners and a visionary child on a quest or on a journey to save their village from the Black Death. The journey through the vision of the child takes them to the 20th century, to Auckland, as they try to affect their fate.
Where did you get the idea from for the film?
I was backpacking through Germany, and one stage I stepped on the side of the road and I tried to hitchhike, and I tried to cross an autobahn, and I got through across the first 3 lanes. I had this big pack on my back, and then on the other side, in the middle, you had to get across another 4 lanes to get to the other side, and I literally couldn't get across because I had this big pack, and I was trying to, and surrounded by all those, Europe's a bit like a medieval museum. It affected me a lot, and I wondered what would it be like if you know how we always judge our ancestors? Well, I wonder what would it be like in the reverse situation, where instead of us judging them, some medieval people, came to the 20th century and didn't necessarily judge but looked at their antecedents. So the film became a medieval view then of the 20th century.
You get back across here, my God! Get back across here!
How did you get that look to the film, this wonderful stirring? It's got a mystical quality almost, just from the bits I've seen in it.
With my collaborators, with the production designer, who's an Australian, Sally Campbell, and our conceptual designer, and making use of something like over a year's worth of research, where for a while there I hired a English researcher who gathered together a massive visual material, and also because I come from a visual background, went through an art school and so forth, and working with cameramen, combine all those elements and that amount of research and work, and you have something quite specific in mind. In this case, some parts of it in black and white. I wanted it to have a feeling like a medieval engraving, and the colour parts of it, I wanted to feel like it was like one of those medieval Book of Hours with very rich, deep colours, deep blues and reds and so forth. And if you put the work in, hopefully you get the results.
Who are some filmmakers that inspire you?
Oh, Buster Keaton. He actually made a film called The Navigator, although this film doesn't relate to it very much. And Carl Dreyer.
Right.
I like a lot of silent filmmakers because I'm interested in trying to tell a story with as little dialogue as possible.
John, how do you find the filmmaking scene here compared to New Zealand?
Well, we've left a film industry that has more or less collapsed, and it appears that we might have brought the curse with us. We're confronting something which is not that different here in Australia, except I believe that politically it's a much more valued industry here. I think the results of the industry are well known to politicians. I also think there's an enormous public out there who really love Australian film.
What's wrong? Don't move! Hey, bully! Oi! It's not safe!
No, it's all right. The winch is strong. The blacksmith can put instructions.
Griffin's dream! In the dream, Connor fell!
Well, at the time of that interview, Margaret hadn't seen The Navigator in full, but she has since, and as we said, we both think it's wonderful. We wish them success and a great deal of decent champagne in Cannes.